Anyway, I made up my mind that if it turned out we should sleep together, he must undress and go to bed before I did. Supper was over. The company went back to the bar-room. Presently, a riding noise was heard without. Starting up, the landlord cried, "That's Grandpa's screw. I see her reported in the Offspring this morning. A 3 years voyage in a full ship. Hurrah, boys, now we'll have the latest news from the Fijis." The door flung open, and in a wild set of mariners, enveloped in their shaggy watch coats and their heads muffler and woolen comforters, all be darned and ragged, their beards stiff with icicles. They seemed an eruption of bears from Labrador. They had just landed from their boats, so it was the first house they entered. No wonder then they made a straight wake for the whale's mouth, the bar, and then wrinkled when the wrinkled little old Jonah poured them out some brimmers all around. One complained of a bad cold in his head, which Jonah mixed a pitch-like potion of gin and molasses, which he swore was a solvent cure for all colds and catarrhs, whether caught off the coast of Labrador or the weather side of an ice islands. Liquor soon mounted into their heads, as generally does even oriented tops newly landed from the sea. They began capering most obstreperously. I observed, however, that one of them refrained from making as much noise as the rest, while deep shadows floating in his eyes from the reminiscences that did not give him much joy. When the rivalry of his companions had mounted to its height, this man slipped away unobserved. In a few minutes, however, his shipmates raised a cry of, "Bulkington! Where's Bulkington?" and darted out of the house in pursuit of them. It was now about 9 o'clock, and the room seemed to be getting supernaturally quiet after these orgies. I began to congratulate myself upon a little plan that had occurred to me in the entrance of the seaman. No man prefers to sleep two in a bed. In fact, you would a good deal rather not sleep with your own brother. I don't know how it is, but people like to be private when they're sleeping. When it comes to sleeping with an unknown stranger in a strange inn, in a strange town, and that stranger is a harpooner, then your objections indefinitely multiply. The more I thought about this harpooner, the more I abominated the thought of sleeping with him. Besides, my decent harpooner ought to be at home going bedwards. Suppose now he should tumble in upon me at midnight. How could I tell from the vile hole he had been coming? Landlord, I've changed my mind about that harpooner. I shan't sleep with him. I'll try the bench here. Just as you please. I'm sorry I can't spare ye a tablecloth for a mattress." So saying, he went about his business. Now I took the measure of the bench and found it was a foot too short, but that could be mended with a chair. But it was a foot too narrow, and the other bench in the room got 4 inches high, so there was no yoke in them. I then placed the first bench lengthwise along the only clear space against the wall, leaving a little inferno between for my back to settle down on. I soon found there was such a draught of cold air over me from under the sill of the window that this plan would never do at all. The devil fetch that harpooner, thought I. Still, looking around me, seeing there was no possible chance of spending a sufferable night unless it was in some other person's bed, I began to think that after all I might be cherishing some unwarrantable prejudices against this unknown harpooner. Thinks I, I'll wait a while. He must be dropping in before long. Though the other boarders kept coming in and going to bed, there was no sign of my harpooner.